I am Wale Ogunade, and the program is Voters Forum, your Saturday tonic. How was your week? Mine was seriously busy, running up and down, going to one court or the other, meeting or the other, conference or the other, event or the other. And we just want to thank God for the strength and the gift of life and health, because someone who is not healthy cannot run around, so you appreciate God for that. Today we are looking, but before I do that, my co-host is with me.
Yes, it's good to be here again. It's another Saturday with us, Voters Forum at Galaxy TV, and right here we're discussing everything that you need to know. Of course, it's educative and very informative, and we're streaming live on all our social media platforms. To be part of the show, you can also download our app from Google Play Store or Apple Play Store. Galaxy Television is the app, and of course you can send in text messages to the number that will be displayed below your screen TV to be part of the show. So you're very welcome again, and my name is Rose Blossom. Good to be here.
Yes, it's good to be here again. And today's topic is interesting. It's a follow-up to last week's topic, and last week's topic about the labor and the truths and in whose interest it is. Today we want to look at labor and its strike. Labor, the effect of strikes by labor. The effect of strikes by labor. What is the effect of this strike that they bring? Whenever government wants to do something, particularly increase in pump price, that's just the most important one. Though maybe our guests will tell us some other things that labor does. But of course, we know that labor is not just only a trade union, but it's a pressure group to pressurize government in taking one decision or the other. So our mini feature will tell us what the effect of labor is, and the effect of strike of the labor is on us. Then after that, we'll now unveil our guest. Equally, we have a Zoom segment today, and we'll all walk around everything. Thank you. Let's see our mini feature, and we'll come back and get cracking.
Strike is the most open expression of industrial conflict, and it's a common phenomenon in Nigeria. There is no doubt that this action affects the cost of production and productivity, as in most cases, strike costs wages and salaries, as well as other unavoidable payments paid during the strike period. Invariably, every action has consequential effects, and strikes are not exempted to bring either benefits of achieving demands to employers, but sometimes lead to loss of jobs. Strike actions particularly affect students, as they are usually not able to make up for lost times and inadequate implementation of curriculum. Additionally, strikes render both students and lecturers emotionally and psychologically unstable, just as it usually prolongs students' academic years, while most of the students end up missing the federal government compulsory National Youth Service Corps NYSC program as a result of overage. Furthermore, strike has negative effect on technology of the nation and increases cost of production. The nationwide strike in Nigeria affected the economy negatively, where the trading on the floor of the Nigerian Stock Exchange (NSE) fell by 82%. Local flights were grounded and lifting of crude oil was hampered. Each time strike occurs, substantial man-hour is lost. A good example is the first general strike of 1945, the 1993 ASUU strike, where universities in the country were closed for a couple of months, thereby causing setback in the tertiary institutions. The Nigeria Labour Congress (NLC) and Trade Union Congress (TUC), and the two major umbrella bodies of workers' union in Nigeria mobilized workers for an indefinite strike action, which commenced on Monday, 9th January 2012, to drive home the protest against the removal of fuel subsidy on January 1st, 2012. Strikes portend a great issue of concern, not only for the workers and the employers, but the society, due to its effect on national productivity. Overall, the strike action in Nigeria has brought inflation rate, socio-political situation, union strength and unemployment rate. This is because strike actions affect workers' living condition, which will increase the agitation and internal strength in pushing forward the demands, which overtly threatens the IC program as a result of overage. Furthermore, strike has negative effect on technology of the nation and increases cost of production. The nationwide strike in Nigeria affected the economy negatively, where the trading on the floor of the Nigerian Stock Exchange (NSE) fell by 82%. Local flights were grounded and lifting of crude oil was hampered. Each time strike occurs, substantial man-hour is lost. A good example is the first general strike of 1945. The 1993 ASU strike, where universities in the country were closed for a couple of months, thereby causing setback in the tertiary institutions. The Nigeria Labour Congress (NLC) and Trade Union Congress (TUC) and the two major umbrella bodies of workers' union in Nigeria mobilized workers for an indefinite strike action, which commenced on Monday, 9th January 2012, to drive home the protest against the removal of fuel subsidy on January 1st, 2012. Strikes portend a great issue of concern, not only for the workers and the employers, but the society, due to its effect on national productivity. Overall, the strike action in Nigeria has brought inflation rate, socio-political situation, union strength and unemployment rate. This is because strike actions affect workers' living condition, which will increase the agitation and internal strength in pushing forward the demands, which overtly threatens industrial peace. There is always an increase in the crime rate in the society due to prolonged strikes. The adverse effect of strike leads some students to social vices like armed robbery, oil bunkering, prostitution, cyber scam, pulling bet, and so on. In conclusion, strikes provide workers with the bargaining power to drive fair and meaningful negotiation, offsetting the inherent inequalities in the employer-employee relationship. The right to strike is essential in preserving and winning right, but the all-round effect of strike action hurts the growth of the nation's economy.
The effect of labor strikes in this country. What has it caused? Has it been productive? Has it bring about a positive effect? As the desired goal of the strike, when the labor movement and civil society embarked on it, has that goal been achieved? The last one that was aborted 2 weeks ago or so will have been another one that will have brought about some issues. But then we have somebody who is very vast in this matter. He is a labor activist. Someone who, we have been in the trenches together, fighting and ensuring that indeed betterment of society comes in, and of course, not only labor, but organized and unorganized labor, all of us enjoy the dividends of our efforts. Without much ado, I want to introduce Comrade Abiodun Aremu. Comrade Abiodun Aremu is the Secretary of the Joint Action Front. We call it JAF. And of course, in collaboration with the NUC and NLC and TUC, they've done a whole lot of things to ensuring that our demands in terms of requests by labor comes to the fore. And of course, it's another thing for government, because we know government the way they have behaved. But be that as it may, we'll hear from, as we call it, the horse's mouth. And again, we'll have our comrade Debo Adeniran on the Zoom platform. He too will be introduced very soon. And let's get cracking. Let's welcome our brother in the studio, comrade. You're welcome to the show.
You're very welcome to the show.
It's a pleasure.
Yeah.
So, comrade, labor. I'm sure you heard the intro, the prologue. What is the effect of strikes by labor? Have the labor been able to attain that plan of their labor, of their strike?
Yeah, in most cases,
Yes.
We do achieve the effect
Yes.
of why a strike action has to take place.
Yes.
You see, the achievement of the effect at times will be in terms of making the necessary statement. It's not just in terms of material gain. If we have looked at pre-independence Nigeria, and the immediate post-independence,
Yes.
there were 3 major strikes.
Mhm.
There was the first strike we call the cost of living allowance strike,
Yeah.
which was a strike that took place in 1942. Then there was the 1945 general strike,
Yes.
which lasted approximately about 45 days,
Mm.
also to press home the demand of the workers. Then there was the post-independence strike. There was also the general strike of 1974. Now, after 1974, we had the strike, which was the minimum wage strike, which is like a parallel of the 1942 cost of living allowance,
Mm-hmm.
in which 300 naira minimum wage then was demanded. And the government then settled for 125 naira.
Yes.
Although before that, because we were in this civilian regime then,
Mm.
the PRP government of Kano had already approved a minimum wage of 120 naira, because that government was responsible enough. It didn't need to wait for the workers for there to be a strike.
Mm-hmm.
Then after that, you see, you have had a spate of strikes in the 80s to the 90s, and more prevalent now. So if you go, most of the strikes you have in the past are strikes organized by the central labor organizations. But by the time the central government become more irresponsive and irresponsible to the collective agreement processes, there is now the prevalence of strike.
Okay.
So most of the strikes you are having is that labor is happy to want to go
On
So
strike.
strike. Mm.
Good.
and that is why there is a dispute resolution mechanism. You know, because the process of collective bargaining is allow labor, based on consultation within its organs, to put forward a demand, and that demand has to be negotiated. And once demands are negotiated, you come to what they call collective agreement. And once there is a collective agreement, that agreement has to be implemented.
Good. Let us leave it there, and let us bring in Debo. We have Debo on Zoom. Debo Adeniro. Debo, can you hear me?
Yeah,
Debo.
very well.
Great. I'm sure you know, you had RMs.
That's right.
Please, can you, let us see Debo. Please, can you bring Debo up? The Zoom people.
Yes, I can. I mean, I can hear you. I heard the
Yes.
Ramsey,
Yeah,
and I'm hearing you loud and clear.
Okay, then, that's good. Help me greet RMs now.
Well, comrade, I greet you. I could hear that you have gone down the memory lane,
Yes.
and that when labor was labor, there's no government that will joke with any slightest, threat from the labor unions and labor
Yes.
centers. The industrial
Yes.
unions themselves were very strong, and some are
Yes.
even stronger than the other. There was
Yes.
so maybe today's episode is not for storytelling. I will have also analyze some of the industrial
No,
unions.
you just go forward.
Don't
You
forget
just go
that
forward.
was MBL, you know, Secretary of
Yes.
National Union of Food, Beverages and Tobacco Employees. And I was
Yes.
in Ibadan Bureau. And
Yes.
we did quite a number of things
Yes.
to ensure that both in the public and private sector, the best of demands are made, and concessions are sometimes made, even when the entire demands of the labor movement has not been attended to, because
That's the
labor
problem
itself also those of us in the labor movement were part and parcel of the same society. We wouldn't
Yes.
really want to bring any government down, because if there is general strike, it has the capacity of terminating a sitting government if care is not taken. But then we also know the repercussions of doing that. So most of the time, we temper our demands when we know that the interest of the generality of the people can be negatively affected. As a matter
Yes,
of fact,
affected. Yes,
the labor bureaucrats also experience the same deprivation that could befall the society if the strike is prolonged. But normally, labor strike is well planned, and the terminal, the exit point will have been predetermined in a way that if we achieve 1, 2, 3 of the demands, we will maybe go for a breather, continue the collective bargaining, the negotiation, usually tripartite negotiation, then achieve more. It is give and take. Government will have to concede certain things, labor will have to concede certain things, the private sector will have certain aspects of the demand that they have to fulfill or concede or compromise with. So when a compromise is reached, labor will call off the strike. But then, when the labor and civil society came together, that formed LASCO, that is Labor and Civil Society Coalition. Sometimes the labor will have ended their own strike, the civil society will have just started theirs. And that was what strengthened labor, especially in the late 90s, when certain elements will want to call off a strike that is jointly put together by civil society and the labor centers. So basically, it is in the interest of the whole society that the labor will have to make their own demands to favor those who are directly involved in the formal sector. And like I told you sometimes ago, that whatever labor achieves in their collective bargaining will percolate to the level of informal sector. The market men, the market women, the artisans, we also benefit from all of that, directly or indirectly. Those who work directly with government as technicians will have their own benefit. Those who work outside, when the earning at the formal sector is good enough, they will go to market to spend money, and that will bring more profit into the pockets of those who are in the informal sector. So basically, it is advantageous to everybody. But if government is recalcitrant, then it makes labor strike to be protracted, and that will affect everybody. And that is what is contained in your prologue. That it does nobody any good, because all of us will suffer for it. That is maybe my own preamble for now.
Yes. It's a wonderful preamble. Then, of course, just within the next 2 minutes, because we'll be going on break very soon, just within the next 2 minutes, why is it that the agreement, collective bargaining and all that labor and the civil society and government have entered into to now implement becomes a problem? Why? Within 2 minutes, sir.
Every successive government in this country should be able to answer that question. Once an agreement is signed, it should be implemented. But government year in, year out has been totally responsible to agreement signing.
Or irresponsible. Government has been irresponsible.
Government has been irresponsible. You get it? To implementing the terms and letters of the agreement. You see, and that is why you see every time the agreements are renegotiated, you cannot force any union. You get it on agreement. It is government that has to be. You see, and because the government will always appeal, you get it, first place. Government abdicate its responsibility, and that's why I use the word consciously, irresponsible. You know, in the tripartite alliance, that is the workers, the employers. No, government is playing two roles.
Yes.
Government is an employer of labor in some respect.
Yes.
The regulator is also the government.
Yes.
So because the government play that dual role, it assumes a status of irresponsibility. You see, that is what is happening. I should be told that workers or unions do not betray agreement. But it's in the interests of workers, of the unions, the agreement should be implemented.
Yes.
So that's why the sacrifices ongoing is what we call the collective bargaining process. Everything that has happened to break down, you see, of negotiations, break down implementing negotiation, government should be responsible, be held responsible.
Okay.
You get it? And that is why government year in, year out, when you see them, you get that go. It's simply because the occupant of that seat in all those cases are totally irresponsible.
Okay. Yes, Debo. I did a little bit of labor law, and I know that there's what we call the principle of Pansa San Salvador. And what Pansa San Salvador means is that all agreements must be respected. So why is it?
That's right.
Because you have been involved in these negotiations here and there once in a while. Well, just lead us into your own experience. Your own experience of why and what is the reason why these agreements are not met.
Yeah, like Ramsey said, most of the breakdown of this agreement, or maybe repudiation of this agreement, comes from the government side. But usually they have their own, they just give excuses, even when they are not tenable to the knowledge of labor. Sometimes they blame dwindling economy. Sometimes they blame, like in 2020, they can blame pandemic. Sometimes they blame natural occurrences, and so on and so forth. Like when the oil price in the world market dwindled, they claimed that was the reason why they could not fulfill their obligation to the labor by refusing to pay commerce for the doctors. That is consolidated medical salary scale, you know, for doctors a few years back. Sometimes they blame so many, they always have some reasons handy. But then they are normally quarrel with our colleagues in the labor movement that you are the one running the wheel of the economy. You are the accountants. You are the auditors. You are the clerks. You are the civil servants. You are the technical people. You know all of these things. Why don't you just go into research or go into a simple study and let us poo-poo whatever excuses government want to make? You know the income, you know what the expenditures are, you are the quantity surveyors, you are the everything, the technical people that government needs to work. You are in the petroleum industry, you are in the ministry of external affairs and so on and so forth. You know everything that is going on. All the files are on your table or at places where you can reach them. Bring out the facts to counteract whatever government has said. Let us know that government can actually fulfill its own obligation to the collective agreement that has been achieved during the tripartite, bargaining period.
We'll leave it at that. We'll leave it at that, Debo.
So that
Yes, I want you to go and
Yes,
take some
that-
water. Let us quickly go on a short break. When we come back, by then you will be recharged. I see that I've touched something that is really seriously a sore point for you. And of course, before I brought you in, I said that is what you are. That is your forte. So please just let us go on a short break. When we come back, you get cracking, and by then I'm sure you have gotten yourself a cup of water to cool down a bit. Same here with our reps too in the studio. And of course, we too will take another bit. Just be on the standby, please. Don't go. We'll be back in the next few seconds. Yeah.
Strike is the most open expression of industrial conflict, and it's a common phenomenon in Nigeria. There is no doubt that this action affects the cost of production and productivity, as in most cases, strike costs wages and salaries, as well as other unavoidable payments paid during the strike period. Invariably, every action has consequential effects, and strikes are not exempted to bring either benefits of achieving demands to employers, but sometimes lead to loss of jobs. Strike actions particularly affect students, as they are usually not able to make up for lost times and inadequate implementation of curriculum. Additionally, strikes render both students and lecturers emotionally and psychologically unstable, just as it usually prolongs students' academic years, while most of the students end up missing the federal government compulsory National Youth Service Corps NYSC program as a result of overage. Furthermore, strike has negative effect on technology of the nation and increases cost of production. The nationwide strike in Nigeria affected the economy negatively, where the trading on the floor of the Nigerian Stock Exchange (NSE) fell by 82%. Local flights were grounded and lifting of crude oil was hampered. Each time strike occurs, substantial man-hour is lost. A good example is the first general strike of 1945. The 1993 ASU strike, where universities in the country were closed for a couple of months, thereby causing setback in the tertiary institutions. The Nigeria Labour Congress (NLC) and Trade Union Congress (TUC) and the two major umbrella bodies of workers' union in Nigeria mobilized workers for an indefinite strike action, which commenced on Monday, 9th January 2012, to drive home the protest against the removal of fuel subsidy on January 1st, 2012. Strikes portend a great issue of concern, not only for the workers and the employers, but the society, due to its effect on national productivity. Overall, the strike action in Nigeria has brought inflation rate, socio-political situation, union strength and unemployment rate. This is because strike actions affect workers' living condition, which will increase the agitation and internal strength in pushing forward the demands, which overtly threatens industrial peace. There is always an increase in the crime rate in the society due to prolonged strikes. The adverse effect of strike leads some students to social vices like armed robbery, oil bunkering, prostitution, cyber scam, pulling bet, and so on. In conclusion, strikes provide workers with the bargaining power to drive fair and meaningful negotiation, offsetting the inherent inequalities in the employer-employee relationship. The right to strike is essential in preserving and winning right, but the all-round effect of strike action hurts the growth of the nation's economy.
We are all ready now for the second leg, and I'll be bringing Comrade Abiodun Aremu. Debo, in his last contribution, said the whole thing, even the civil servants, particularly who man these various ministries in terms of the workers, as they are the workers, they know the details about government, that they ought to know, even to give government information concerning, or even let it out to the public if need be, that no, how can it be? But obviously I know that the civil servant cannot do that. But again, what is your own take on this?
Yeah, you see, let me say that that view is totally bereft of the negotiation, and agreement signing process.
Okay.
And its implementation.
Okay.
That's where there's an authority.
Yeah.
And there's also delegations of authority.
Okay.
When you have the authority to spend money, to sign money, you get that. So, and when you are going to sign an agreement, you must be aware of the full implication of that. The responsibility of a civil servant stop. Because as you see, when there's agreement signing, even for unions and workers,
Yes.
your responsibility is first to further study the implications of that agreement that has been signed.
Or that has been reached, rather.
That has been signed. That's what I said, that has been signed.
Okay. Okay.
You get it? It's not after the agreement has been signed you are doing that.
You're doing that.
So the naira and kobo of that agreement must be detailed. So you already know, and that's why when you are doing budgeting, you know, we don't do budget here. Budget is just a pamphlet of looting. That's just my definition of budget. You have a pamphlet in which you put figures and you are thinking of what to loot. A budget now on education must take into consideration the totality of the naira and kobo that is involved. So when you are doing your budget for education, it should be clear we're having 9 trillion naira for education, and this is what it goes for, and every detail. So what is being taken to the parliament is details of that budget, and that's why those you see in the parliament, they are interested not in those details. That is the point about budgeting, to look at it. So
what did you call budget?
I say it's a pamphlet of looting. A pamphlet to loot the resources of the country.
So the parliamentarians are not interested in the work.
When you are interested in the work, that details must come out.
Yes.
If you then come out when you are doing budgeting, the resources available to the country, having signed an agreement, is 10 trillion. You get it?
Yes.
And you have signed budget so and so.
Yes.
A responsible government,
yes.
Hear my word, I'm choosing my word very clearly. Because government is about responsibility.
Yes.
It's not a joke.
Yes.
When I say, country people who have signed an agreement, we are committed to so and so. But because of certain circumstances, we have only so and so that can cater for this. That does not invalidate that agreement.
Yes.
What a responsible government do or does is to accept that responsibility and be open to the citizen. We make effort to generate this more, but you must not invalidate that agreement. And that's what I said, that is part of the problem that we have.
Yes.
You see? And because society will have lost in values, because each time you raise these things, people say you are abusing them. What is the other word for somebody who is not responsible? That's the point.
They're responsible.
You get it? It's irresponsible. And that's it, because why are they responsible to themselves when they want to loot? You get it?
Committing huge sums.
You see? And that is why I tell people everywhere, I've argued it. Nigeria is not broke.
And can never be broke.
And I will tell you why Nigeria cannot be broke.
Can never be broke.
I can count on my fingers here close to 50 people stupendously rich Nigerians. Where did they get that money?
At the expense of the state. But don't mention any name.
No, I'm not mentioning, I'm just saying. And let me just give you this example. You know, I was interested when banks were getting into crisis.
Yes.
And Intercontinental Bank, because I make that as an example.
Yes.
Because of the Akingbola trial then.
Yes.
As an asset, then of about 400 million naira. And Adebola was said, Biakibola, was said to have looted over 400 million naira. And you ask yourself, how can the MD have looted almost the whole bank? And that's private capital. Because banks, monies are contributed by the private individuals who deposit their money there.
In the bank.
You get it? As Sanusi now came, you get it? But central bank is not supposed to be generating profit. But that's not true. Because in real time, because you ask yourself, where is central bank getting its money? Have you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is it just taking money from somewhere? So the point on agreement is simple.
Okay.
You don't sign agreement, because agreement is the conclusion of negotiations.
Okay.
Agreement is the
It's the
conclusion
of
negotiations.
negotiations.
Yes,
And next
I
thing
want
is
to.
to implement it.
I want to actually direct this question to Comrade Debo. Comrade Debo, are you still with us?
He's there.
Yes, I'm
Okay,
with you.
This is
Yes,
his
I want to
house.
ask this question because he said something very meaningful, but I just want to throw the question to you. What are the things that they really, really need to look out for when making an agreement? And also, how do we make sure that the federal government don't fault but actually implements these things? Because like you said, implementation is a problem, like a comrade here said. Implementation is a problem. So how do we make them implement? And what are the things that they need to look out for before actually signing an agreement?
Thank you very much. The first thing to look out for, and that was what I said, is in the purview even of members of the labor unions, is capacity to pay. Because whatever collective bargaining that is entered into must be seen to be smart. They have to be specific. They have to be achievable. They have to be measurable. They have to be realistic and time bound. So if you focus on these 5 elements and what constitutes the government side of it can be reached by the worker side of it. There was a time in the history of labor movement when the senior staff believe that their own needs, their own demands are slightly different from the demands of the junior staff. They set up the progenitor of TUC called SESCAN, that is Senior Staff Consultative Assembly of Nigeria or something like that.
Association of Nigeria.
Now, senior staff now they have their own union. That was what transmuted to TUC. There was a time when there was a kind of a mix of both senior and junior staff. When you call, which was registered as a CFTU, that's a Congress of Free Trade Union, Trade Unions of Nigeria, something like that. Now, this means that workers sometimes do not even agree among themselves on what their needs should be. And that is the reason why during the collective bargaining, they don't confront the authorities with facts and figures that are supposed to be on their fingertips. If you ask government to pay you 100,000 naira as minimum wage, you should be able to explain to government that this is how you can get it. When we met the former governor of Lagos State, when we were intervening in the question of commerce, I mentioned it the other time, that is consolidated medical salary scale. I made it known to the then governor, Mr. Fashola, that government will pay if government only want to pay in order to prevent brain drain. Well, he argued that it was because I was not in government that I said so. But I told him that this is your IGR. This is what you collect from federation account. This is what local governments are supposed to do. This is what you are supposed to do. Medical care is one of the paramount, components of people's welfare. You can't joke with it. And if medical personnel are not well motivated, they will not attend to the needs of the people optimally. So make it a priority. Let it come, after education. If you don't fund education adequately, and this is where the money will come from, you don't need to take money for primaries and junior secondary school at least. You can fund it. You can fund their books. When we calculated that, okay, if you make 50 billion naira per month, how much does commerce ask for? We'll take from it. We calculated it. We calculated the salary of each of those that are being paid by government. We confronted him with it. He couldn't say much about it. Than it's because we didn't understand how government works. So what I discussed with or maybe argue with our colleagues in the labor movement with is that go and get hard, evidence of possibility. So you make specific demand that can be met at a particular time, so that you will not be arguing in vacuum. So basically, I know that government usually look for excuses, but once you have your ready-made defense and you present it to the members of the public, and that is the reason why the civil society were cooperating with the labor centers, that if there is any aspect of the bargaining, like that constitutes or maybe that government construed to be a threat to the national security like they want to do, the civil society who are not being paid by government can come in and take that side up with the government. They can sack the civil society, they can arrest them, they can harass them, they can do all sorts of things. But once you make your position clearly known to the civil society, even ordinary Nigerians will join the fight for the enthronement of good salary scale and condition of service for the members of the labor unions. The civil servants, yes, they have the limitations as to what they can say, what they cannot say, what they can reveal to the public, what they cannot reveal. But that is why we have civil society, for crying out loud. Let us know, break it down for government. When Baba Kande was the governor of Osun State, he said that the income of the state could not pay all the teachers, that so many of the teachers are redundant or were redundant, and that was the reason why he said that some of them will have to be shown the way out, that some of them will be selling melon inside the classroom or selling wares. Now, he presented the budget in the present, so it is not always a document for looting.
Okay, all right. Thank you very much, Mr. Gbadebo. Comrade Debo Adeniran. Thank you very much for that one. I really enjoyed that. Now, because we're wrapping up the show right now because of our time, I want to ask you, Comrade. We heard you. I will
respond. Yeah.
Yes, please. Can you respond to what you said very quickly?
I will respond because you must understand the collective bargaining process and negotiation process.
Yes.
You say, I'm sorry. Yes, good. Some civil society try to cooperate with labor. But do you understand the mechanism of the work of labor? You find out certain things. What we are talking is about agreement.
Yes.
Agreement is the last thing you reach. You get it? Nobody put neck and hope on the neck of any actors in government to sign an agreement.
Yes.
Because you sign an agreement based on the fact that you are convinced about that agreement.
Yes.
Secondly, that I can speak for all the unions. No union go into negotiations. Because for unions to go into negotiations, you have discussion even among yourselves to agree on what you are taking to the table. They don't go to the table emptily. And each time they have gone to negotiations, it's the result of negotiations that leads to agreement. You get it? And it's not what they take to negotiation that come out 100% as agreement.
Yeah.
I'll give you the example. 1981 minimum wage, 300 naira was demanded. 125 was agreed.
Yes.
Did you hear any ulabalu of that agreement not going to be implemented? No. You get it? That's the point. Don't muddle up issues. Once an agreement is signed, it is binding.
Yes.
What is the bane of what affects ASU?
No.
ASU signed an agreement. 2009 ASU agreement.
Yeah.
I'm familiar more with it.
Yes.
And the day was spelled into almost about 1.3 something trillion. And all items on that agreement were the needs of the student. ASU did one very interesting thing. Need assessment. That is what the student actually, what is actually needed.
Yes.
The laboratory, the classroom,
Yes.
and everything.
Yes.
All were done in money
Terms.
Everything were there. He took another strike to get the government to pay the first 200 billion. You get it?
Really, that's
Now up till now, I'm just saying because that
Yes.
is why I said they are so irresponsible.
Yes. Yes.
Lamido Sanusi, Central Bank governor, without the approval of the Act of Parliament,
Yes.
could bring out an individual 620 billion naira to bail out failed banks.
Yes.
Failed banks,
Yes.
not public banks. You get it?
Yes.
And ASU up till now
demanding
could not get up to that 620 billion on that. That's the point.
And ASU is a very veritable
You get it? And we are not talking of, and it's not even ASU. The university could not get. Don't make mistake.
Yes.
Those monies are not for ASU.
Yes.
It's actually
It's
for
for
the-
ASU is only the union
Yeah.
fighting that.
Yeah.
In fact, what ASU has been doing is picking up the fight of the student movement that has become weak.
Yes. Yes.
And weak, you get it? Because the government was responsible for making it weak.
Yes.
Promoting culture of violence,
Yes.
culture that are not beneficiary to conducive
And
learning.
politicizing the
You
student
get it?
union.
And making them, you see, that is what is happening. So let's face the issues. The issue is that, and it's not just ASU. You have the medical people, you have the doctors, you have
Even
almost
the
every
administration.
segment of society in which government has
Electricity.
failed.
Comrade, I would like us to actually wrap up here because of our time.
Yes.
I'm so sorry, but I'm really enjoying this. I wish we
Yes.
could continue, Barrister.
Yes.
Barrister, let me ask you now, has he failed or has he passed?
He has failed. He is coming again. He has
He's
failed.
coming again, right?
You see, I just
No, I prefer to fail on truth. Because truth can never fail.
Debo, I'll soon do it.
You get it? Truth can never fail.
Yes, no, don't go, don't argue. Your failure is not
It's
because
not
of
on
your.
the
Rather,
topic.
what you
I'm
want
happy to fail if
No,
it's
no,
on
no. We want to bring you
No
back.
problem, we'll be here.
Debo, sorry, Arems.
I'll be
Debo.
I'm here to explain because
No, we'll come
there are
back again.
issues
You'll
I'm
come back
familiar
again.
with.
Yes.
You get
Okay.
it? These are clear issues
Yes.
of processes.
Yes. Debo, just 2 minutes, please, because we have to round up. Just 2 minutes, Debo. Just 2 minutes. Just 2 minutes, Debo, please.
No, what I was saying is that it is about government being transparent.
Yes.
It's about labor unions, doing their own bit, not
Yes.
to allow government to do cover up. Because
Yes.
most of those who help those who engage in corruption are also members of unions. And there should be internal cleansing within the labor movement itself. So that, and there should be ethical codes by
Yes.
which everybody will have to operate. And there
Yes.
should be disciplinary machinery within
Yes.
the labor movement. So that
Yes.
everybody that compromises standards will
Yes.
face certain sanctions. And
Yes.
those who withhold information that they could reveal to the labor movement, with
Yes.
which they will make responsible demand, and does not do it. There should be a way of it. And those who help
Yes.
people in government to perpetrate corruption should be sanctioned within their industrial unions, so that at the end of the day, everybody will be able to say that I played my own part and played it
Yes.
well, with a view
Yes.
to living the society better than we met it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. That's a very weird way to really lay it down. You
Yeah.
really landed safely.
Thank you very much, Comrade Debo, and thank you very much, Comrade Aremu, for coming on the show. It's been an amazing one and very educative, I must
Thank
say.
you.
That was why I personally decided to ask that question of implementation and also
No.
agreement.
That's why you asked that you wanted Debo to come back again.
Yes.
Don't.
Yes, because that was why I said come back again, and I directed that question at him. Thank you very much for being part of the show once again. And of course, next week we'll be continuing our voters forum. Of course, you don't want to miss this, because here we give you so much information and education at the same time. My name is Rose Blossom. Until next week, do have a beautiful weekend.
Yes, a beautiful weekend indeed. We will look if the management will allow us to run this topic again next week, so that both Arems and Debo, they will come again to really enlighten us on this issue, so that when labor goes on strike, we will know the reason, and again we will now put them on their tracks too, including government, that there must be an agreement and you must be responsible. When you have agreed on something, then whatever it is, I like the way both of them have presented it. Arems has said yes, for anybody who signs an agreement, he knows that it must be obeyed, and that is just the gist. Any other thing left out from that one makes that government or that person who signs that agreement irresponsible. On that note, we really want to thank our guests, both Debo on the Zoom and Arems here in the studio, and my co-host. It has been a wonderful time, and I hope you too, you've enjoyed yourself. I guess because of the enjoyment of the topic, how sweet and interesting it is, we are not able to send any text message. Till next week, don't do what I won't do. Don't go against the law. This is Wale Ogwade on behalf of the management and of course the entire team of Galaxy Television and Voters Forum. Have yourself a great week ahead.